おめえはもう死んだよ。Oh man, Fist of the North Star. An anime that everybody claims is the grandfather of anime, but no one really talks about. And that is weird to me, because Fist of the North Star is amazing. For context, I am not an anime fan by any stretch of the imagination, but Fist of the North Star just strikes all the right chords. Hyper violent combos, post apocalyptic setting, visually appealing visuals, and most importantly, compelling characters. I just love this series. I first got into the series when I watched a review by somebody by the name of Bumbles McFumbles. You probably already know who this guy is, and if you don't, he's the guy who made the Punch Out Cheaters video. So yeah, he's pretty cool. And after you're done with this video, I highly suggest you check him out. In fact, I say tell you what, I'll even put a link to his channel in the description. But back to the video. Despite how little Fist of the North Star is talked about these days, it actually has a ton of video games. Some dating all the way back from when the anime and the manga were first released, all the way back in 1985. Yep, what you're seeing on screen is real. All of these games are real. Fist of the North Star is just one of those series with a bunch of video games and is apparently the 18th most popular, well, profitable franchise in the entire world. And yet it's one of those series that you probably never even heard of, aside from that one meme. But Fist of the North Star does have a ton of video games, some of which even made it here to the West. But one thing you're going to learn about some of these games is that they're kind of strange. And I'm not talking about normal anime strange. I'm talking very strange. Like, we're talking manga strange. So, I'm going to be talking about the three weirdest Fist of the North Star games, in my personal opinion. This is a video that I have had in the works for a long time, and I'm only now just getting around to it. So, let's start with one that doesn't seem weird, but is weird and if you look at it. Also, yes, a Fist of the North Star typing game does indeed exist. And no, it's weirdly enough not one of the games. Our first game today comes from Sega and Arc System Works. Hokuto no Ken for the PS2. Hokuto no Ken is the original name of Fist of the North Star. And this game looks normal on the surface. In fact, it's made by one of the biggest names of fighting game history, Arc System Works. And just looking at the animations, oh man, they look spectacular. I mean, just look at this. This is some of the best sprite work I've ever seen in a video game. This whole thing, some of it doesn't even feel real, honestly. But it's real, alright. This is a game that was released in Japan as an arcade cabinet in 2002 and was later given a port to the PlayStation 2. As you can see, it's a fighting game. A very simple fighting game because, well, that's Arc System Works' forte. What makes Hokuto no Ken so special, however, are some of its mechanics. Okay, one thing I need to get out of the way first is why is Heart a playable character? Like, he's a slightly popular character, but I thought somebody like Shu would be better. Whatever. So, Hokuto no Ken has a bunch of normal things. You've got your boost meter, which basically allows you to cancel attacks, your aura, which is essentially just a super meter, your health bar, because of course, but then you may also realize something else. These these things right here. What are these things? Well, that's one of the weird parts of this game. First off, it should be noted that this game goes for anime accuracy over actual gameplay. That doesn't automatically mean it's a bad thing, but let me put it like this. Jaggy has a move where if he goes against Shin, he can stand right next to Shin and whisper in his ear. Fans of the anime will remember that is the scene where Shin and Jaggy talk to get Shin to turn on Kenshiro. Why would you pull out that move? Well, you actually have no reason to. It's useless. Rao also has a command grab move, which is just a part of the manga, where he stabs a trident through his foot and rays. Basically, these moves are ripped straight from the anime and manga. Now, you may be wondering, okay, that's cool and all, but what was that weird bar that you pointed out below the health bar? Well, I'll get to that in one more second. But first, I'd like to tell you one more thing. If you land 100 hits on your opponent, you can cause gravity to act weird on them. Yes, every character can basketball combo in this game. Every character. But that's not even the strangest part. The strangest part is that meter that I keep bringing up but I never talk about. When that, you see, that meter is called the 7 stars of death. Once you break your opponent's stars, all of them, like with a super powerful attack, the 7th star of death, or the death omen star in the manga, will appear below the health bar. Once that star appears, you can instantly kill your opponent. Let me explain. You have your typical level 1 and level 2, but your level 3 doesn't come out until you break that last star. And when you do this, and when you do, you get an insta kill move. Yeah, that's right. Every character can not only basketball combo, but they can also instant kill all of them. This is nuts. Well, then these moves must be extremely hard to hit to compensate, right? No, they're actually fairly easy. The insta kill is the game's bread and butter. Yeah, I think you can start to see why this game is so strange now. Because it's one of the few games where insta kill mechanics are a full on thing. It's not a meme, it's not a joke, it's part of the game. Yep, this game is broken, but it's all these things sound like glitches, don't they? But here's the thing, the game is working as intended. All of this is working as intended. Even the weird anti gravity thing, that is working as intended. I mean, there is one glitch where if Ray does an uppercut and then pushes a few buttons afterwards, it'll overclock the arcade and force it to burst into flames. So, if you're planning on doing that move, don't do it on original hardware. It will destroy it. That was not intended. But what was intended was everything else. This game is so strange because its mechanics strive for anime accuracy over actual gameplay. Now, this would get it labeled as a bad game, but oddly enough, it has so much charm, passion, and love behind it that I just can't bring myself to hate it. And neither can anyone else. Because this game is actually played at EVO. Yes, people play this game competitively. It's labeled as a kusoge, which I'm not going to translate because I don't like swearing, but long story short, it translates to bad game. But now it translates to bad game. That's fun to play nonetheless. And that's kind of how I would describe this game. It's stupid. It doesn't make any sense, but it's all the better for it. Our next game is a little bit more traditional, but it will still leave you scratching your head. Next up is another game published by Sega, Fist of the North Star Legends Revived for the mobile devices, released in 2019. Fist of the North Star Legends Revived is a typical gacha game, where you play as the characters from Fist of the North Star, but also other Fist of the North Star spin offs like Fist of the Blue Sky. The gameplay is simple. You tap the screen, you get the combo right, and when you do, you deal more damage. Very typical stuff. Every character has a special move too called their secret move. And everyone is unique to the character and is a reference to how they are in the actual anime or manga. Basically, everything I'm saying is what you're expecting. And the story mode of the game is pretty much exactly what you expect. It's literally just retelling the story of Fist of the North Star. But where it gets weird are some of its mechanics. Like, for instance, one of its main mechanics is a game where you're literally playing an endless runner game to get resources. Yeah, it's one of those games. But where it gets even stranger is, in fact, its roster. Because while most of the characters are in fact from Fist of the North Star material, there are a lot of crossover characters, like Kazuya from Tekken, Ryu from Street Fighters, and that one guy from Virtua Fighters who I don't know the name of. But, yeah, that alone would be very strange, because what are they all doing here? But then you have the strangest crossover in history. And I think just playing you the footage, for the most part, all the characters are exactly what you'd expect. As you can see here, we have a Fist of the North Star character, just in an alternate timeline. We have Ryu, everything I just said. But then we have this. Yes, your eyes do not deceive you. Sonic the Hedgehog was an unlockable character in this game. And in fact, did just clobber the heck out of that thug. It is so incredibly stupid. What is he even doing here? And that's not even the weirdest one. Like I said, the Virtua Fighter is here too, and his low poly variation as well. This is just what we have to deal with in this game. It is amazing, but it's also making me question my reality. So, Legends Revived is weird simply because of its strange game modes, but also because of its roster, which, quite frankly, makes negative sense. But our final one is going to be strange simply because of its very existence. The final game we'll be looking at today is a little game made by Imagineer, the Nintendo Labo guys, who made this thing. Fitness Boxing Fist of the North Star for the Nintendo Switch in 2023. This is the most recent Fist of the North Star media to be produced today, and it's the third installment of the Fitness Boxing series. Do I need to say why this is strange? Like, what the heck? Why does this exist? Like, I get it. Fist of the North Star is popular. Getting fit is popular. And many people like fitness boxing. However, who in their right mind slapped the two together? This is just the strangest thing I've ever seen. In fact, no. You know what? I take what I said earlier back. Sonic and Fist of the North Star, no. That is not the weirdest crossover I've ever seen. Fitness Boxing and Fist of the North Star, that's the weirdest I've ever seen. What's weird, too, is the fact that this game is actually really good. I played this game a lot. And Bumbles McFumbles goes into more detail about this game. But long story short, if you played fitness boxing, you've played this game. But it does have one new mode, the battle mode, where you fight against popular Fist of the North Star characters and some random grunts. I really do like this game. I'm just surprised it even exists. And yes, it's a family friendly game based off of an M rated manga. How does this exist? I legitimately have no idea. But I think I'm confident in saying that fitness boxing Fist of the North Star is weird from the very minute it starts. But one thing you should know about this game before you buy it, because yes, it's a really good game and a really good way to get fit. I speak from experience. But before you do that, you need to know one thing. The voice acting is the worst part of the entire game. Kenshiro sounds bored half the time, Shin sounds goofy, and Jaggy just sounds off. And then there's Toki. He speaks in fragmented sentences. Do I need to say anything more than that? But yeah, this game is really fun and it's a good way to get fit. There's not much to say about it, other than the fact that it exists at all, which is its own miracle. This thing even got shown off at a Nintendo Direct. Let that sink in. This got more attention than the other games that I just mentioned. This is probably the most well known Fist of the North Star game. I don't know how to feel about that, honestly. Anyway, these are the strangest Fist of the North Star games in existence, at least in my opinion. Do you like Fist of the North Star? And do you think there's a stranger game out there? Let me know in the comments below. Anyway, I'm the Gamer Nerd, and always remember to focus on your abs.